Let me tell you something that most women don't realize. Respect is not something he tells you. It's something he shows you. Respect begins with listening. And when I say listening, I don't mean just hearing the words that come out of your mouth. I mean really listening, being fully present, absorbing not only what you say, but the emotions behind your words, the nuance in your tone, the energy you bring into a conversation. A man who respects you doesn't just nod or wait for his turn to speak. He doesn't glance at his phone, check the clock, or let his mind wander to other things while you're talking. Every interaction becomes a mirror of how he values you. And listening is the clearest, simplest reflection of that value. Imagine the difference between speaking to someone who genuinely wants to understand you versus someone who only pretends to care. With the first, you feel heard, seen, and understood. There's a warmth, a connection that forms almost instantly. You leave the conversation feeling lighter, energized, validated. With the second, you feel dismissed, invisible, frustrated, like you've wasted your energy. And the truth is, that's what happens when a man doesn't respect you. He treats your words, your thoughts, and your experiences as optional, as though they are secondary to his own. Listening isn't just about polite conversation. It's about emotional investment. It's about showing up with intention. A man who respects you will remember the small details, not because he has to, but because he cares. He'll recall the stories you shared about your childhood, your ambitions, your fears, your triumphs. He'll check in on those things later, not to prove a point, but to show that you mattered enough to stay in his mind. The act of remembering is, in itself, a form of respect. A silent acknowledgement that you are significant, that your experiences and emotions carry weight. On the flip side, a man who doesn't respect you will consistently make you feel like your words are unimportant. He might interrupt you mid-sentence, dismiss your opinions with a casual remark, or change the subject to something trivial the moment you begin to express yourself. He may offer surface-level affirmations, a yeah, sure, or a I understand, but they feel empty because there's no real engagement behind them. Over time, this pattern chips away at your confidence, makes you question your worth, and leaves you wondering why you feel so drained after interactions that should have left you feeling connected. The way a man listens also reveals his priorities. When he respects you, listening becomes a form of attention, and attention is one of the most precious resources a person can offer. It signals that in that moment, you are the center of his focus. When he doesn't respect you, your voice is just background noise, something he tolerates rather than cherishes. And the consequences of that are far-reaching. You begin to feel unheard, not just in that relationship, but in life itself. You start to question whether your thoughts, feelings, and desires are valid. Respect in listening also carries boundaries. A man who truly values you will allow space for your perspective to exist without immediately imposing his own. He won't interrupt, argue aggressively, or belittle what you say. He understands that respect is not agreement, it's acknowledgement. He may disagree, but he will never make you feel small for holding your view. And that is the difference between superficial charm and genuine respect, because respect is quiet, consistent, and often invisible to those not paying attention. Listening is a window into a man's character. It shows whether he can engage with empathy, patience, and presence, or whether he views relationships as transactional, self-serving, or shallow. If he can't listen, if he can't honor your words and your emotions, it's not about you. It's about the fact that he isn't capable of giving the respect you deserve. Recognizing this early is the first step toward ensuring you surround yourself with people who will lift you up, cherish you, and make you feel truly seen. A man who respects you will honor your boundaries. And when I say boundaries, I don't just mean the obvious ones, like physical space or time commitments. I mean every layer of your emotional, mental, and personal limits. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define how you want to be treated. And respecting them is the ultimate measure of a man's regard for you. If a man can't see, understand, or respect your boundaries, it's a glaring signal that he doesn't truly value you. No matter how charming or convincing he might appear, Boundaries are about self-respect, and a man who respects you will never pressure you to compromise them. He won't make you feel guilty for saying no, for prioritizing your needs, or for standing up for yourself. Instead, he will admire your courage, your clarity, and your integrity. Because a man who values a woman understands that her sense of self and her personal standards are not obstacles. They are part of what makes her extraordinary. He will treat your boundaries not as limitations, but as a guide for how to show care, thoughtfulness, and consideration in every interaction. When a man doesn't respect you, he will consistently push against these limits, testing how much he can get away with. He may dismiss your requests, insist on bending your rules, or try to guilt you into doing things you're uncomfortable with. This isn't a sign of love or desire. It's a reflection of entitlement. He believes your boundaries exist for him to navigate or override, rather than for you to define and protect your well-being. And that behavior, repeated over time, erodes your confidence, leaving you questioning whether your needs and feelings are valid. Respecting boundaries is also a matter of listening and paying attention. It's about noticing when you are uncomfortable, when you hesitate, or when you assert yourself, and responding appropriately. A man who respects you does not need constant reminders or explanations. He reads the cues, adjusts his behavior, and demonstrates that he values your comfort and autonomy. He understands that boundaries are not walls to keep him out. They are the structure through which connection, trust, and intimacy can grow safely. Boundaries are not static, and neither are relationships. As you evolve, your limits might shift, and a man who respects you will adapt without resentment or criticism. He will recognize that growth is part of life, and he will celebrate the person you are becoming rather than trying to mold you into someone else. Conversely, a man who doesn't respect you will see any assertion of boundaries as a challenge to his control, a personal attack, or an inconvenience. He will react with frustration, manipulation, or passive aggression, signaling clearly that his needs always come first. Honoring boundaries also reflects emotional intelligence. A man who can respect your limits understands that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, empathy, and balance. He doesn't view compromise as surrender, nor does he see independence as a threat. Instead, he values your autonomy because he knows it makes the connection stronger, deeper, and more meaningful. Without this respect, intimacy becomes superficial, interactions become transactional, and the relationship loses its authenticity. Boundaries are the truest test of respect. They reveal who is capable of seeing you, hearing you, and valuing you without trying to reshape or diminish you. A man who respects you embraces your limits, protects your space, and meets you on the level of mutual dignity. Recognizing when someone fails to honor these boundaries is a crucial step toward understanding whether he is worthy of your time, energy, and heart. A man who respects you will invest emotionally. And when I say emotional investment, I don't just mean the occasional compliment or a gesture that looks romantic on the surface. I mean genuinely caring about your inner world, your feelings, your dreams, and even your struggles. Emotional investment is the silent language of respect. It is how a man shows that he values you as more than just someone to spend time with or to be physically close to. It is how he demonstrates that your experiences, your emotions, and your needs are as important to him as his own. Emotional investment begins with empathy. A man who respects you will pay attention when you speak about what matters to you. He will notice when something affects you deeply, even if you don't say it out loud. He will respond thoughtfully, not with impatience or indifference, but with genuine concern and curiosity. He won't minimize your feelings or dismiss your experiences as trivial because he understands that your emotional life is a fundamental part of who you are. When he engages with you in this way, it signals that he sees you, not just the version of you that's convenient or easy to like. The lack of emotional investment is often subtle, but it leaves a profound impact. A man who doesn't respect you may appear charming or attentive in small moments, but when it comes to the deeper aspects of your life, he disengages. He may avoid conversations about your dreams, your fears, or your personal growth. he may make you feel like your needs are optional or secondary to his own priorities. Over time, this erodes trust and intimacy, because respect cannot exist in a vacuum where emotional connection is absent. Without emotional investment, you are left questioning whether he truly values you or is merely present when it suits him. Emotional investment also shows in consistency. A man who respects you will not only show care in isolated moments, he will demonstrate it over time. He will check in, follow through on commitments, and maintain a presence that reassures you that you matter. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but about reliability and attention. He will notice when you are upset, celebrate your successes without prompting, and support you even when there is no immediate benefit to him. This consistent engagement communicates that he respects your life, your emotions, and your worth. Respect and emotional investment go hand in hand because they both require attention and effort. A man who is willing to invest emotionally is signaling that he sees your humanity and values your individuality. He recognizes that a relationship is a partnership, not a transaction, and that connection is cultivated through mutual care and consideration. Conversely, a man who refuses to invest emotionally demonstrates that he prioritizes himself over you. He may enjoy your presence, the fun, or the convenience, but he is unwilling to engage with the depth of who you are, and that lack of emotional presence is one of the clearest indicators that respect is absent. Emotional investment is about showing up fully. It is about being present in your highs and your lows, acknowledging your experiences and treating them with the seriousness they deserve. It is about creating a space where you feel seen, heard, and valued. Not just when it's easy, but consistently, without needing reminders or coaxing. A man who cannot or will not do this is revealing where you stand in his life, not at the center, not as an equal, and not as someone worthy of genuine respect. Recognizing this early allows you to protect your heart, focus your energy on those who truly see you, and cultivate relationships where emotional depth and respect coexist naturally. Consistency is one of the clearest signs of respect, and yet it's also one of the most overlooked. A man who respects you shows up in ways that go beyond words, beyond fleeting charm, and beyond momentary attention. He doesn't disappear when things get inconvenient or when his feelings are tested. He doesn't treat your time, your emotions, or your presence as disposable. Consistency is the measure of whether he truly values you or if you are merely a temporary amusement, someone whose attention and energy he only engages with when it suits him. Think about what consistency really communicates when a man consistently follows through on his promises, checks in with you, and is present in both the big and small moments. It signals that you are important. You are someone whose life, feelings, and needs matter enough to occupy a reliable place in his priorities. Respect is not declared in dramatic gestures or infrequent surprises. It is revealed in repeated, dependable actions that show you are not optional. Conversely, inconsistency is a red flag. When he shows up sometimes but vanishes at other times, when he's hot one moment and cold the next, it creates uncertainty. This unpredictability is a silent signal that he doesn't value your stability or your emotional well-being, and it subtly undermines the trust and security you should feel in a healthy connection. Consistency also speaks to intention. A man who respects you isn't just reacting to the moment. He is consciously choosing to make you a priority. He doesn't wait until he feels like it, or until it's convenient, or until someone else reminds him of your importance. Every action, every message, every visit, and every interaction is purposeful. You can feel it, and that feeling of being seen, remembered, and valued consistently is what separates someone who respects you from someone who simply enjoys your presence when it aligns with their comfort. Inconsistency, on the other hand, often comes wrapped in excuses. He might blame a busy schedule, distractions, or stress for his unpredictability. While life does demand flexibility, the pattern reveals a deeper truth. He prioritizes himself and his convenience above you. A man who truly respects you doesn't need perfect circumstances to demonstrate that he values you. He finds ways to be reliable, even when life is complicated. He understands that respect is not conditional. It is a choice repeated over and over, especially when it would be easier not to make it. Consistency also builds emotional safety. When you know that a man will show up in a reliable, thoughtful way, it allows you to trust him and invest your emotions freely. You don't have to question whether he will abandon you, ignore you, or disappear. You can feel secure in the knowledge that your presence matters to him. A lack of consistency, however, creates doubt, anxiety, and insecurity. It keeps you second-guessing his intentions, wondering whether he really cares, and constantly measuring whether your time and energy are being respected. Over time, this emotional uncertainty erodes your sense of self-worth, making it difficult to fully engage or open up. Consistency is not about perfection or rigidity. It is about demonstrating that a woman is worth showing up for, day in and day out. It is a measure of reliability, intention, and emotional commitment. A man who cannot provide this pattern is revealing the hard truth that you are not a priority in his life, that respect is not present, and that the foundation for a meaningful connection is missing. Recognizing inconsistency as a lack of respect empowers you to make choices that protect your heart and ensure you surround yourself with people whose actions align with the value you deserve. The small gestures a man makes are often the clearest indicators of whether he respects you, even more than grand declarations or dramatic displays of affection. Respect shows up in subtle ways. The way he remembers your favorite things, the effort he puts into making you feel seen, the little acts that show he values your presence. These seemingly minor actions carry immense weight because they demonstrate attentiveness, thoughtfulness, and an understanding that relationships are built on more than words. They are built on consistent, meaningful action. A man who doesn't respect you often overlooks these details, dismissing them as unimportant, while a man who does respect you understands that your worth is reflected in the care and attention he gives. Consider the power of the everyday moments. When he notices the changes in your mood, when he asks how your day went and actually listens to your answer, when he spontaneously supports you in small but significant ways, these are all acts of respect. They signal that he values your happiness and well-being, not just when it's convenient or beneficial to him, but because he genuinely wants to contribute positively to your life. The small gestures are not about performing for attention or seeking validation. They are about creating a consistent pattern of consideration and care. A man who lacks respect will treat these small moments as optional, if he notices them at all. He may forget important details about you, dismiss your needs as secondary, or act indifferent to the things that matter to you. Over time, these omissions communicate more than words ever could. They send the message that you are not truly a priority in his life, that your feelings and experiences do not hold significance in his decision-making or attention. This lack of attentiveness often manifests in subtle ways: a forgotten birthday, a missed commitment, a casual disregard for your emotional state. But each instance chips away at the foundation of respect that a healthy relationship requires. The small gestures are also a reflection of consistency and emotional presence. A man who respects you demonstrates care even in ordinary, mundane moments, not just during dramatic or memorable events. He doesn't wait for special occasions to show appreciation. He integrates it into daily life. He understands that respect is cumulative, built over time through repeated actions that affirm your value. Conversely, a man who doesn't respect you may be charming or attentive in fleeting bursts, but his gestures are inconsistent, transactional, and often self-serving. You are left feeling unbalanced, questioning whether your feelings and efforts are truly reciprocated. Small gestures also communicate attentiveness to your boundaries and comfort. When he notices your hesitation, adjusts his behavior, or asks for your input, It demonstrates that he honors your autonomy. Respectful men understand that even minor actions can impact your emotional state, and they approach interactions with thoughtfulness and care. Disregard for these nuances signals a lack of regard for your feelings and your dignity. Respect is cumulative, and the small gestures are the threads that weave the fabric of a meaningful connection. They reveal whether a man values your presence, prioritizes your needs, and genuinely cares about your emotional experience. A man who ignores these small, meaningful details is showing you exactly where you stand in his life. Not at the center, not as a priority, and not as someone deserving of consistent attention and care. Recognizing the significance of these small acts empowers you to value yourself, demand respect, and seek relationships where thoughtfulness and attentiveness are naturally given, not reluctantly offered. Respect isn't something you ask for or beg to receive. It's something that is shown through actions, consistency, attentiveness, and genuine care. Every word, every gesture, every moment a man chooses to invest or fails to invest reveals whether he truly values you. Recognizing the signs of respect is not about cynicism. It's about clarity. It's about understanding that you deserve someone who sees your worth, honors your boundaries, celebrates your growth, and shows up for you, not just in words, but in action. Every single day, when a man respects you, it's visible in the way he listens, the way he honors your boundaries, the way he invests emotionally, the way he shows up consistently, and even in the smallest gestures that let you know you matter. When he doesn't, it becomes impossible to ignore the gaps, the indifference, and the disregard for your feelings. Knowing the difference empowers you to make choices that protect your heart, preserve your self-worth, and guide you toward connections that are real, meaningful, and fulfilling. Never settle for less than the respect you deserve. Never compromise your boundaries, your values, or your emotional needs for someone who is unwilling to honor them. Because the right man, the one worthy of your time and energy, will naturally demonstrate respect in every interaction, leaving no doubt that you are seen, valued, and cherished. Understanding these 9 signs is not just about spotting the men who don't respect you. It's about recognizing your own worth and refusing to settle for anything that falls short of the love, care, and respect you are meant to receive. Respect is the foundation of every lasting, meaningful relationship. And once you recognize what true respect looks like, you won't just attract better men. You'll attract the right men who elevate you, inspire you, and honor you in ways that make you feel truly seen, loved, and empowered.